All right, here we are. 1 year later, I've said I've wanted to lace up my shoes and cross the finish line faster than I ever thought possible. And I'm going to share with you how to do that today. I'm Salvatore, a humble 9 to 5 office worker, someone who wears a suit and still wears a tie, oddly enough, who likes to ride to work on his bike, who likes to sip espresso, have cold showers, roll up my sleeves, cook amazing plant-based vegan food for my girlfriend, and just have culinary adventures and adventures in the like, and just simply, again, run faster than I ever thought possible. I seek to share with you how I went from someone who was addicted to playing video games, watched way too much anime, and through seeking to conquer the mountains and conquer life, both figuratively and literally, more on the literally later, join with me today as I share with you how to conquer your next race and everything I learned in this whole year leading up to this race, which I've done in this PowerPoint presentation. So let's get into it. Okay, bam. So we have a whole year later, which is called the city to bay, although I did half distance, so 6K. So I did, I guess, shopping center to bay. But anyway, here's me. This is me looking okay, but there's some things in this that aren't perfect. And that's kind of like what we'll get to later. But bam, here is me in 2024 looking glistening, looking like I'm ready to go to the toilet here, it seems. But anyway, this is what we're going to get into, how I kind of took the same event and kind of just, completely different results. Let's get into it. So how to conquer race day. So I've got a couple of points here. First is perfect practice builds confidence. Now, what do I mean by that? See, running is a lot of conditioning, and the more we can kind of get used to running distances of the length of the race, greater, shorter, gets us conditioned to smash it and conquer it. So I guess one way of looking at this is leading up to this race, I'd done a lot of races, runs that were longer. So the idea of it kind of felt a bit shorter, which I'll get into a bit later. And then there's compiling that, because I'd kind of done the race the year before, with the visualization, because I knew what the finish line looked like and how I kind of wanted to transform the photo in the first one of what I looked like crossing the finish line into the second, the 2024 vision. And that's the thing. So I guess something like a race day does seem super scary, but that's okay. That will be the point for the first race day, but there's kind of ways to hack that, which you can do similar type of races, like something in a similar friendly competition would be like a park run, which is a real race, but it's like not as official, it doesn't have medals, but it's still a weekly thing. By doing so, you kind of get out of those jitters. And this is really interesting because on my reflection on this day, in 2023, it was quite scary. Me and my girlfriend were doing it for the first time, and I wasn't sure how I would do. This time, had a plan, had an idea, knew the feeling of what it was like to participate in it, and I basically was so excited to get it done. And it felt like Christmas morning, which is really stupid, but it honestly did. And that's kind of, so then we also have the idea of planning. So this is kind of what I'm going to break through in this video. And then also how I asked ChatGPT to help with my splits, the aggregation of marginal gains, which is super important. I'm going to analyze the whole race K by K and tell you what was going on in my mind at the time, and then have a nice little conclusion. So perfect practice and visualization. So 2023, the lead up to the actual race and kind of what I'd done to get used to the idea of 6Ks was that I'd ran a 6K about a day or two before the actual race, just to kind of know, okay, well, visually, this is kind of how long it's going to take, and just to kind of get my legs used to it. But I wasn't super confident, and I kind of wasn't sure how I would go. And if we kind of look at Strava itself, I kind of tallied all my runs in 2023 starting January to about 64 runs before the city to bay for the year. If we kind of contrast this the idea of better practice, and with 2024, I'd kind of implemented not only 4 more runs, but my runs I'd implemented were a little bit smarter and a little bit more targeted at kind of a more perfect practice. See, the thing is, I kind of wanted to build both the endurance and speed, so tackling it from a like 2-point method to kind of increase my chances of smashing it for the next year. So I have here what's called the turtle runs, which is my easy 80% runs, where I'm just simply running. And this I've tried to increase the distance from 4Ks to 5 to 6, now 7. Just kind of going through the motions and just kind of get used to, actually running. And at a pace that still, I can talk at, and kind of gradually now I've been putting up that pace a little bit more, but still noting it's still within kind of the threshold of what constitutes, for me, a turtle run. Tortoise in the hare, right? Playing the long game. And then that takes us to the idea of introducing speed in the 20%, which is in the form of what I call tempo runs. Now, tempo runs are great because you take your race pace, which is right up here. Let's say it's, I don't know, for me, 350, say 350 flat in a perfect world. But if I kind of go 20 to 30 seconds slower, 410 to 420, that's what's called a tempo threshold, where I can run at that pace and it feels like I'm not like, it's not a 10 out of 10 effort, but it feels between like an 8 and a 9.10. It's hard, but interestingly enough, it's doable. So I coined these the rabbit runs. You'll see on my Strava, I've got either a turtle or rabbit next to my runs. I think it's kind of a really cool thing. And there's also the idea, as I talked about races before, this in particular, there's this thing called a corporate cut, which is a 7-round running race of 4.5K, which is kind of a bit more official than a park run because we've got a team, but also not as full on as, say, a city to bay. Something to kind of ignite the competitive spirit within me, to kind of get my legs feeling as fresh and fast as possible for leading up to the race. So comparing my approach with 23 to 24, a lot of 23s was just really turtle runs, an interval run here or there, but not really. Whereas this, I kind of had a more devised plan, if it were, because I kind of knew a year later I wanted to tackle the 6, and I'd been kind of really building up the base. So a lot of 80% of my runs, if you look on Strava, have all been turtle runs. And then kind of only recently, from about August, I've kind of introduced the idea of tempo runs and also the corporate cup, which is kind of to crystallize a lot of that effort, and I'm glad I did so. And then I guess there's also the visualization. So of being faster, I was like, let's take the race itself. So on the day on 2023, you'll see that, let's go back a bit. You'll see that I've got shorts on, and these shorts had like keys because we rode our bikes. I'd have keys to hold stuff. These flap in the wind, that's a bit looser. Whereas here we've got, tights, Nike's best tights. This singlet looks a little bit flappy, but it's not as loose as that. That's looser than that. This is actually quite constricting, or more constricting, so it's a bit more aerodynamic. So that's kind of me visualizing what I wanted the outfit to look like, because purple and kind of pink purple, so it looked kind of cool in my mind. So I was like, yeah. But so when we go to, again, kind of like I mentioned before, so things scary become like Christmas. This kind of made me like wake up early, excited to do the race. I had the idea of that I wanted to conquer the mountain itself that day because obviously I'd trained for it and I visualized it in my mind. So I guess what I'm trying to say with this is something as scary as, say, a race where you're putting it all on the line. If you kind of either do the same race year before, you do other similar races to get used to the adrenaline and the feeling that you can experience, it starts to give you like a 180 in your mind. And instead of being something you're fearful of, you're excited for. And it's just like the energy becomes transformed, and it's something really interesting. And I think that's kind of helped a lot of the part to kind of help me relax into it and do better. So then planning becomes exciting. So here's where I broke down kind of the many key things I focused on. So carb loading the night before. So we had a plan. We had a high carb, low fat vegan pizza, and we had lots of it. Lots of starches, fantastic for for glycogen absorption, which is where glucose, lots of glucose from the food gets stored in your muscles. So they're ready for the next day, they've digested, and you're ready to rock and or roll. Early nights, combining it with that is a game changer. So your legs feel ready to go. You feel like a kid. You feel full of energy. This should be Beetroot. I cannot spell, which is right here. So this is the ability, basically, by having you can delay fatigue by up to 20. And it's this thing right here called Beetroot. Not sponsored by him, but fantastic product. I think that also played a key role in kind of I've known about this product for about 4 years, but I've always been too much of a tight ass to actually buy it. So I decided, you know what, now's the actual time to kind of invest and give it a go. I don't care. More aerodynamic clothes, which is the tights and the singlet combining, and like looking cool, looking the part, feeling like a superhero almost, like taking on this persona of you are the person who's going to conquer that race. And then taking the Uber that day, so carrying less stuff, trying to get there a bit earlier, and race shoes. So my race shoes are over here. The Nike Alphafly Gen 1s, next percent. I probably don't need to use these, but I used these a year before and I wanted to use them the next year. But because I'd ran in them like along here in the inside lateral bit, there's this bit that kind of dug into my arch, but this time around actually running the race in these felt so much more comfortable. So again, the idea of kind of being used to what you're comfortable in and visualizing that you're going to run in those shoes made it a lot easier, because I'd kind of done races in the Corporate Cup leading up to it, and I feel that really helped me to kind of get along more in the shoes, if that makes sense. So then it takes us to our next point, asking ChatGPT to help. So what we did here, this is really interesting. If you're wanting to do a race or you're not sure how to approach something and kind of want a sense of, I don't know, trying something different, I simply told it kind of how I was going recently in terms of the Corporate Cup, my tempo run time, as you'll see, and how it can kind of say, well, what are my splits going to be and how can we strategize this? So he's like, okay, we'll break it down on a 2x2K basis. Obviously with the first half being slower than the last, to give you that real powerful finish. So again, this strategy allows you to build momentum and avoid early burnout. Exactly. So the thing, by running these races, one thing I haven't mentioned yet is the start is going to be super buzzing, but you need to calm your farm and realize that you can't hold that pace forever. So you need to be really smart, because it will pay off towards the end of the race when you've got something to reach for. If you go too early, it's going to really, really suck. So here it says we're going to go for 20 minutes and 23 minutes and 20 seconds. Did I get to it? We'll get to that, don't worry. So that's kind of the fun of that. And then aggregation of marginal gains. So this is something a cycling team by the name of Team Sky. Oh, cool, I figured out how to spell Beetroot. Team Sky has developed. Now Team Ineos. But basically, cycling had gotten to a point from a tech point of view and clothing and everything where there wasn't a lot of big benefits to be made, but they realized by tweaking the seat angle a little bit, changing this component out, having these type of shoes, having this type of nutrition, everything kind of resulted in what they called a 1% improvement. But by aggregating all those 1%, you can get up to say a 10, a 20% gain. Even though these things seem insignificant, but by stacking and compounding it is what they call the aggregation of marginal gains, which is kind of what I utilized in my strategy for figuring out how to smash and conquer this 6K run. So Beetroot shots, delaying fatigue, tick, we can push harder for longer, not feel like, so like mentally, like when we need it, we've got it and we've got a bit extra. Carb loading, muscles need to be full of energy. We do not want to be eating first thing in the morning, particularly because it takes a long time for your body to digest food. The blood diverted to the gut means there's less blood to pump stuff around the body, and it feels hard to run with food in you. Difference for cycling, you can be absolutely stuffed and still actually ride. Like you can be stuffed full of like rice, curry, carbohydrates, potatoes, and you can actually still ride because it's not the same motion. Sleep, muscles need to be fully rested, fully charged, like you're 100% HP, you're ready for battle in the video game. That's what that is. Better race fit equals more aero, less wind resistance, more lightweight, which makes it so much easier to actually push the effort in the legs because you're working kind of with your situation versus against, getting there early. So this is this is a funny one because while we did get there early, we had to go to the toilet. So by the time we actually started, it was still a lot of people. But because the point of this is, as much as you can, you need to do this, because at the start of 2023, for about almost 2Ks, I had to weave through, because we got there a bit later, I had to weave through so many people. And I feel like that kind of really halted my momentum and ability to get in the zone. This time I had a similar issue. I was further up the front. So what I did was, there's this, imagine, okay, so we've got a piece, like this is road, right, where everyone's running. It's pretty tight. And then in the middle of the, because there's two lanes, there's like this is one road, this is the other. This is the middle island, which we'll get to in a second. This one right here goes to the city, and this one away in terms of like normal flow of traffic of cars. But everyone, anyway, people starting the 6K start here, and it was super tight. I didn't want to bash my way through people because that made me feel like an asshole. So what I decided to do was go on the, what do you call it? The island. And it felt like the Matrix because there was no one there. And I was just running along, and say if this is a pack of people, put myself right here. And then the bit to get to the other point of the road opened up on the left, and I was in the zone. Like, it only took me about maybe 100, 200 meters. And that really just made such a difference, because last time I was like, trying to get in between, and it was such a pain in the ass. And that was my fault, I get it. But this time, I really felt like I was more in the zone. But another thing about this is you got to kind of be careful when you're running and you see people. I passed a lot of people. There was someone that was faster than me by a lot. If I tried to follow him pace-wise, I would have blown up. And there were people that I thought were my speed, but I was faster than him. So you kind of got to be really self-aware of your own speed and your plan, because otherwise you can it kind of throws things off. Yes, you get excited, you want to go really hard, but there's like, you have to still be quite reasonable. And music helps me get in the zone because it helps me focus on my own efforts. So me playing my video game music, boom, game changer, helps me get in that zone and just relax. Best thing ever. Massive, more than a 1% improvement for sure. No caffeine as well, just beetroot. Caffeine's good, but can also dehydrate you too. Analysis. Okay, K by K. I thought I did it. Oh well, let's go to 23 first. Yeah, escape, got it. Yeah, here we are. Okay, so first split was 413, 415, 411, 48, 46, 44. This is a negative split. This is faster than that. Pretty decent pace. I didn't even think I could achieve this at the time. So we're kind of going up against something that I was a bit unsure, like how well can I actually do this? But then we go back to 2024, which I believe is this one. Here's the game changer. Bam, we have, look at these splits. Whoa, right? So K by K, this one was the first one. It's me opening up. So you'll see here on the screen where this gray is, it goes up to about 1K. And here I'm a bit quick. I'm not gonna lie, I'm about 3:30. And this is probably me getting on the grass just to kind of get ahead and get settled in. And then I kind of realized, slow your farm down, going too quick. And then I kind of tried to bring it back to around 350s, low fours. And I was like, okay, this is more right. Then I brought it up again, then down, and then like I'm kind of more starting. This is only really above faster than 350 for about 100 meters, which isn't too bad considering how excitable I generally get. So then that meant that the first K, great start. So it kind of helped me settle into a rhythm. And you see that this has a bit less fluctuations in terms of me going slower. I'm kind of more holding around, 350s, holding. And this is kind of interesting because I felt like this race was super short, even though I'd done it before. The 6K didn't feel like a 6K. It was really stupid. Like I think because it's downhill as well, it's a good environment. You get energy from people being there. It's an unbelievable feeling. If you're in Adelaide, City to Bay is the balls. You need to do it. So yeah, we get settled into the second K's 4.5, like a metronome. And then boom, third K, halfway point. So this is kind of me like, okay, let's start to kind of turn it on. I feel okay. I think I can push a bit more. So we start to go the 401. And then kind of we get into the second half, kind of the make it or break, and kind of to see if this has been good enough in terms of not too fast to allow for the gains to come through. So 356, okay, we're on target. Another 355, yes, that's what we're talking about. Yes, ChatGPT said 350 and 350, but I don't think it's too bad, honestly. And then bang, this massive 344 finish, where I think basically, as you can see, so where how it kind of finishes the race. Can I zoom in? Yeah, beautiful. There's this turn that comes around, and that's where all the photographers are. Like, right, this is because I do like a privacy thing. Anyways, as soon as you turn this corner, the cameras are on you, and this is kind of where me, like, was super excited to get part of this, and I was like, okay, here's where the sprint needs to happen. So I'm kind of like coming into here, I'm like, let's go, baby. So I'm like, okay, let's go out of this kind of 4 pace and kind of a bit like we can give ourselves permission to go for it, but not too much. We want to save it for the end. So we're going 340s, 330s, picking it up, feeling the energy of the crowd was unbelievable. And then we're going like world record pace for marathon here. I'm like doing a sprint. There was this guy in front of me I was trying to catch. I couldn't quite catch him, but I was close. And this just like unbelievable finish to give me a 344 split. Like, I was so happy to kind of go from the start of this 5, which was got as slow as 415, to bring it back with this powerful finish, like 247. Now, why did I slow down for this last bit? That's probably because I was trying to turn my watch off, and like it was a bit like that. But anyways, point being, super proud of that. Did it. So what does that result in? Where did I do it? Okay, I'll do the final times in a sec. But to conclude, I guess there's more to this, but to kind of bring this all together. Practice builds conditioning for the race, your mentality, your confidence. And that kind of meant that the race felt shorter and my body felt more ready to do it. And that kind of combines with the purposeful practice to focus on the speed and endurance to mean that the speed overall could be faster, and the endurance that you had meant you had what was in the tank to kind of do that last powerful push in the second half of the negative split. And Corporate Cup just kind of helps me getting used to the idea of racing, pacing, not getting too excited, and have the self-awareness of like my racing speed. Because the more you run at a faster speed, the more you'll get not only used to what that feels like, you'll kind of instinctively more or less know. I'll still check my watch, but how you're kind of tracking with it. Visualizing crossing the finish line and it becomes like Christmas is how I wanted to go from the photo I showed at the start to the photo at the end, to say, it's possible, and to inspire you, like to say, like, as I was doing this, I was listening to video game music, but like that's the thing, and like it just complete like transformation, and then marginal gain. So when we plan backwards, we can have massive improvements because A, we can be organized, but B, we can start thinking of things as small as this to figure out how they have a benefit and aerodynamics and looking cool, to run so much faster than you ever thought possible in the heat of competition. And kind of, me having a mindset where I was going to get onto the grass, which I didn't even know I was going to do, just to kind of get in front of people so I could get settled into that pace. That helped me save so much energy, which I think was really responsible for why I did the negative split so well. And then let's go to the time. So we have 24 minutes and 57 seconds, 23 minutes and 46 seconds. So a whole minute and 11 seconds faster. Pretty bloody happy with myself. And so if you look at the finish of here, 4:04, which I thought was fast, is basically me starting out. So it's kind of like if that continued to that, it's crazy. And kind of the feeling of conquering this resulted in me getting, actually, I'm going to show you right now, if you bear with me. Lumari City to Bay results. Resulted in me with the following, overall placing, which is unbelievable. Salvatore, let's just see if I can spell my name. Condello. Race, or something to leave you and inspire you with. Should have done this before, but I had the idea now. 6K runner search. It's a little bit slower than what it... Anyways, place 16th for men. Crazy. I was in the teens for this time. There was about 2,500 runners, and I was able to place 16th. Comparing it with the year before, let's see if I come up. 24th overall. So I almost jumped a whole 10 places just from my efforts and kind of doing this. And I'm a year older. Like, that's crazy to think I went from that to that. And that kind of means that I'm now excited to get onto the next phase of doing the 12K, the whole distance, but wanting to do that at a time of under 40 minutes, which is a crazy, crazy goal, but I'm committed and excited to do so. Now, I've talked about the idea of conquering mountains and conquering life. If you would like to do so in a literal sense, I have the thing for you. I have something that you can kind of use as a background to kind of train for an event like this and kind of really, really push yourself. Really take your fitness to a level that you wouldn't have been able to do so. So for the year 2023, I kind of didn't do a lot of running, and I kind of feel like I built enough of a base through commuting and riding a bike. See, in this, if you check the link below, I've got an ebook called Life Cycles. I take you through the perfect bike to get, saving you thousands of dollars, everything you need, helmets, lights, lock, how to put it all together, how to go about your first ride, how to think about what type of rides you want to do, how to kind of feel like a kid again in a very safe environment, when to use cleats. I take you through all of that so you don't have to worry, because I've conquered mountains on the bike time and time again, and I've ridden for 6 to 7 years to work, to university, and have many lessons about how to make the process easier, fun, enjoyable. How I've taken the idea of being some introverted, shy person who would ride the bus, wait for it, and it's very depressing, versus someone next to the bus on the bike riding right past it in this beautiful sun and enjoying the energy and kind of building my fitter self and staying lean all year round, staying in a position where I'm able to jump into a race and place in the 20s and now the teens, although a lot of 24 was through lots of running, but I could have also achieved so with the principles talked about in this book. If you click the link in the description below, I talk about how to actually conquer the mountain on the bike, how to do the mentality, the pacing, you name it, and kind of also how to fuel on the bike, what you need to have, how to save so much money without. I've got a secret for you on that, how to recover off the bike, how to do so many things to kind of take it a whole circle, like everything off the bike, how to look after your bike, how I take every chapter in the book, which is, I think that's about 13 or 14, and distill it into a really easy to follow summary, which is no more than a couple of dot points, and kind of then take that to crystallize it into how it works for a case study that I've broken down to say, hey, here's two people, here's how you can apply these principles to not only lose weight, but also build incredible fitness, have a great lifestyle, save so much money versus commuting, and it is amazing. And in fact, because of this, my girlfriend has been able to place 10 minutes faster in her time in comparison, which I'll get into in another video, and I'll break down how we did that. So, conquer mountains, conquer life. Conquering the race can feel like literal Christmas. Want to support me, want to help me out and conquer mountains literally. I want to build a generation of people excited to do this literally. Click the link in the description below to support me. It costs less than an Uber Eats, costs less than a new PlayStation game, costs less than a night out. You'll be doing a favor by investing in yourself. So yeah, conquer mountains, conquer life. Thank you.